It's the book of Second Ezra, chapter 14 and verse 17. And it says, "For look how much the world shall be weaker through age, so much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein." All praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Barachach Wadash. Peace and blessings to the elect that are listening and learning the Akim Wak Yum, and double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone and the elder bishops. Much respect to the mighty Gabar Yum on the Houses and Hedges, bidding Yasha out to the marriage, and to the Gabar making videos of edification to wake up the lost sheep, and salutations to the elect scattered abroad that be unto the speckled bird. So, as you see in the picture here, man, it says, "These are dark times. There is no denying." Okay, we are definitely in darker times. Okay, we see it all over the media. People complaining about this bill that if it's passed by the Senate, it's a wrap for many who live off of the government beneficial system. Okay, you have the so-called Black women complaining about it, and other people from different nations as well, but it's mostly affecting the Israelite women. Okay, because you see the Israelite women complaining mostly about benefits being cut. And again, the prophets try to warn you, right? Ezekiel 33 and 33. "For when these things shall come to pass, lo, it will come, then y'all should know that the prophet was amongst you." So the men of the Lord have been warning the house of Israel of these said perils, of the labor pains, of the plagues and pestilences, okay, that's coming here to Babylon. We've warned you of Revelation 12 and 12 about the enemy coming down with great wrath, knowing he had but a short time. However, 2/3 of our people did not pipe. Okay, they didn't pipe to the sound. They didn't dance to the sound of the prophet's piping. Okay, instead they misused the prophets. They made sport of the prophets. You have Jake and Eve making all types of videos coming against the Hebrew Israelites. But guess what? They're going to be affected by what's to come. They are not going to make it out of Jacob's troubles, okay, out of these dark times. So those, who's using wisdom to take this time, okay, you better seek the Lord while he may be found. Okay, I'm gonna get that as a matter of fact. I'm gonna get this real quick. This is Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 6. And Shalom to Chan Bat Gad, Shalom wa Barakathon. Okay. This is Isaiah 55 and verse 6. It says, "Seek ye the Lord while he may be found." So the prophet Isaiah is telling us to seek the Lord while he may be found. So that means what? There's a time period. Okay. Yahweh Shai gave us this grace period, this short time period to seek the Lord, to seek favor and to seek covering. Okay. Because once the famine of the word comes in the book of Amos, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai won't be around for the 2/3, man. Only for those who took heed, only for those who sought the Lord while he may be found. Isaiah 55 and verse 6 says, "Seek ye the Lord Yahweh while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near." Verse 7 says, "Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return unto the Lord, and he will have mercy upon him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon." So you want to be pardoned from these unrighteous decrees. You want to be pardoned from the wrath of Esau Edom, man. Okay. You have, again, going back to these benefits being cut off, the big, beautiful Bill Act, all right? If it's passed by the Senate, Section 8, okay, food stamps, just to name a couple, they're going to be shut off. And a lot of people are going to be left out there without food. And, you know, I've said this before, man. I've said it before, and I know brothers have said it as well. It's going to mostly affect women and children. Okay? I believe it's Matthew 24. Let's get this real quick, straight to the point. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 19. And NLT version. Let's try that. New Living Translation. Right here. Matthew 24 and verse 9 says, how terrible it will be for pregnant women and for nursing mothers in those days. Now, obviously, we know this is speaking of what happened to Israel when they were driven out by the Romans, okay? But this is going to be, like the scripture says, there's no new thing under the sun, okay? We're in revised Rome, okay? We're in revised Greece. We're in revised Babylon, all right? AKA America. So a lot of women with children who have multiple baby fathers, okay? All these children by multiple baby fathers. It's going to be terrible for them, man. Because the scriptures talk about how children will be dashed to pieces and women ravished. Okay? But, you know, hey, no one wanted to take heed, right? Let's get this real quick. Let's stay in the NLT. Because at the end of the day, you know, many have been distracted by the whole, you know, the whole P. Diddy case and now this Meg the Stallion being, you know, and Tory Lanez foolishness, man. Okay. People want to pay attention to folly rather than remaining circumspect, man. And this is how these unjust decrees are passed under the table. This is Proverbs 22 and verse 3 in the NLT. It says, a prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. What are those precautions? Isaiah 55, right? Call on the Lord while he is near. Okay. That's a precaution. Okay. Seek the Lord while he may be found, right? It says a prudent person foresees danger and takes precaution. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. And those consequences are going to be the lack of bread, okay? Not being able to feed your children, not being able to have a roof over your head because Section 8 is going to be taken away. There's going to be a lot of homeless women and children on the streets, which is going to force women to what? Sell their bodies, man. Okay? Many women will be getting ravished and deleted. That's just the reality of it, okay? Robbed, right? Robbery, okay? People stealing from one another. Let's get that. Let's go to 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter. 2nd Ezra, chapter 15 and verse 19. Straight to the point, it says, a man, right? Also a woman, okay? Shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. So people are going to be breaking in, right? Home invasions are going to increase. Home invasions is going to be the regular in Jacob's trouble, man. Okay. Home invasion is going to be a regular thing. Okay. It says, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, right? The lack of food. Okay. That also goes in, that's also going to be contributed by 2nd Ezra 6 and 22 when it says, and the full storehouses shall be empty. Okay. All your supermarkets, man, the shelves will be bare, and people is going to be fighting over food. So you know how you see, what is it? Those Black Friday sales, right? How people rush in the store and they fighting over, you know, TVs and video game systems, so on and so forth. Well, guess what? Don't be surprised if you see news articles and news feeds of people fighting and beating each other up over bread, man, over a carton of eggs. Okay. Second Esdras 15 and 19 in its entirety says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So these funds, it's going to contribute to great tribulation. Okay. Not only that, we have the employment field is shrinking. People are getting let go. They're getting kicked out of their jobs. Okay. You have what is called the silent firing, something like that, where people were just getting fired or laid off like that. Okay. And now you have AI coming in to replace people. Okay. Let's go to Isaiah 24. Isaiah 24, and let's start at verse 8. It says, the cheerful sound of tambourines is still, this is NLT, by the way. The cheerful sound of tambourines is stilled. The happy cries of celebration are heard no more. The melodious chords of the harp are silent. So very, very soon, man, all of this clubbing, all of these events, okay, such as this Pride event that's going to happen next month, and may Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, destroy that shit very, very soon. Okay. But all of these festives and festivities and joyful events are going to be brought to a halt, man. Verse 9 says, gone are the joys of wine and song. Alcoholic drink turns bitter in the mouth. That's right, because people are going to be so depressed that they have no work, that they have no house, whatever. They're going to start drinking, man. Like the scripture says, give a man strong drink who's ready to perish. A lot of people's going to be, wanting to die. But we know that it tells in the Revelation that, in that time they will seek death and not be able to find it, man. Okay. Isaiah 24 in verse 10 in the NLT, it says, the city rives in chaos. Every home is locked to keep out intruders, right? That goes back to Second Esdras, the 15th chapter, when the man shall have no pity upon his neighbor and shall break in their house and with the sword because of the lack of bread, right? Isaiah 24 and 10, it says, the city rives in chaos. Every home is locked to keep out intruders. Mobs gather in the streets crying out for wine. That goes to your uproars of the people. That goes into major protests, man. Okay. Which is going to transform into anarchy, which is all devised by the wicked, right? Order out of chaos. Okay. It says mobs gather in the streets crying out for wine. That wine, they're not crying out to get a drink. All right. They're crying out for answers. They want answers, man. They want to know why things are happening the way they are. Okay. It says joy has turned to gloom. Gladness has been banished from the land. Okay. So listen, man, the mirth of the land, happiness, all that joy is being brought low. Okay. Verse 12 says the city is left in ruins, its gates battered down. So it's going to be a lot of chaos, a lot of anarchy. However, we know that the elect are going to dwell in the secret place of the Most High. See, the hopeful elect are seeking the Lord, right? As a matter of fact, let's get this. We understand that, yes, we journeyed off from the Lord, but now we're going to seek him 10 times more. Okay, let's get this. Salakia, Baruch 4 in chapter 28. Salakia, Baruch 4 verse 28. I saw that verse 27. Nope, let's start at verse 26. It says, my delicate ones have gone rough ways and were taken away as a flock caught of the enemies, right? This is why we're in revised Rome, revised Greece, revised Egypt, right? revive Sodom and Babylon, aka America. This is why we're here, because what? We have gone away from our power. Verse 27 says, be of good comfort, O my children, and cry unto Yahweh, right? Going back to Isaiah 55, seek the Lord while he may be near. Call upon him while he may be found, right? Roughly paraphrasing. It says, for ye shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you. For it was your mind to go astray from Yahweh, so being returned, seek him 10 times more. Okay? So we're seeking the Lord 10 times more because we understand that the Lord is the one that brings these plagues, that's bringing these labor pains, man. The Lord is the one that's bringing dark times, man. Okay? Baruch 4:18 says, for he that brought these plagues upon you will deliver you from the hands of your enemies, right? Esau, Edom come down with a flood, man. Okay? So multiple plagues are being placed here in Babylon the Great. Okay, I like to say Babylon not so great because it really isn't so great. It's not great for us, you know? Oh, another thing. Prison breaks, man. I prophesied this years back. I said that there's going to be more prison breaks, man. I said there's going to be more people out there that's going to escape from these facilities, man. I prophesied that years ago. Okay. Now you have, especially in these times where you have men against the women, you have a lot of men that really don't like women, man. I posted an article a few days ago, this Edomite that chopped up this Eve and scattered her pieces, man. Like, I don't understand Eve, man. I truly do not. How are you so blinded by vain pride, man? All these things are happening to you, Eve. And the men of the Lord are trying to warn you. It's like Eve will rather die, be judged by the Lord, than to be rebuked and corrected by the men of the Lord, man. I just don't understand that shit. I really don't. Okay? But hey, 2/3 have to be cut off on this part. They have to die, man. The scripture says you're going to know it death by pain because they threw the righteousness of the Lord to the side, man. And they're going to suffer in these dark times. But the elect, the hopefully elect, they're going to be saved out of it, man. Okay? I want to get this real quick. I want to stay in the Apocrypha. And what is it? Oh, let me get this real quick. In the day of vengeance. Let's see. This is Sirach chapter 5 and verse 7. It says, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. For suddenly, right? The scripture says that Yahweh shall come in like a thief in the night. Okay, this is why the scriptures tell us to measure that a time diligently within itself, man, and understanding what the will of the Lord is. So when you measure the time diligently within itself, that means what you're paying attention to the current events and relating them to Bible prophecy and filtering them through Bible prophecy. Okay. Sirach 5 and 7 says, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. So many people were in security. Why? Because victual was cheap upon earth. They thought themselves in a good case. But even then, more evil shall increase. Okay? When they voted in Trump, everybody was like, oh, gas prices are going down, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, while people thought themselves in a good case, now you have the big, beautiful bill that was passed. That's going to be passed, man. It was already passed through the House of Representatives, We're just waiting for the Senate to pass it. And once it's passed, it's a wrap. It's a wrap, man. You know, I always said it too. And it was a joke. I said, hey, brothers, man, don't be surprised if your exes start hitting you up again, man. Okay? Don't be surprised if women out of the blue just start, hitting your DMs. You already have women talking about, oh, we need this and we need that. Still in their pride, they demand it. But guess what? Once that reality hits them, that's when they're gonna try to humble themselves. Okay, they're gonna try to humble themselves and make themselves feminine. But guess what? The men of the Lord are gonna have that righteous discernment, right? I did a lesson on that. The ability to judge well. That's discernment. Okay. So hey, and this is why it's you sisters in the truth, man. You got to keep enduring, because you're gonna have it good. You won't have to worry about what these other women are gonna have to worry about. You won't have to worry about being chased down the street by 5 guys who want to ravish you. You won't have to worry about being on the streets with 7 kids, homeless, man. Wondering how you're gonna feed your kids. The easiest targets will be women and children. The easiest targets will be women and children, man, especially young girls, man. Okay? This is why, hey, seek the Lord while he may be found and make no tarrying. And stay with the man of the Lord, man. Be a helpmeet. Give him peace, okay? Don't try to usurp authority over him. Because once he casts your butt out, I don't know, man. You better pray to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. He has mercy on you. Okay. I want to get that. Let's get it. This is, let's say, yep, in the Apocrypha. Oh, no, Salakia. That's Isaiah. Salakia. Let me get that. Let me get it. Isaiah 13. Beautiful. I'm sorry, that verse 11. It says, and I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity. So let me stop there. What world is he talking about? Because, we say a lot of Christians always bring up John, 3:16 about God so loved the world. But you have to study to understand what world is speaking of, because we understand that 2nd Ezra 69 says, for Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of that follow. So we already know we're not in the world of Jacob, because if we were in the world of Jacob, none of these things will be happening. The world will be at peace. So obviously we're still in the world of Esau. Esau is still ruling. Okay. And he ruled in great pride. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai showed favor to the wicked, right? Malachi 1:4 calls Esau the border of wickedness. Scripture says, show favor to the wicked and he still will do wickedly, roughly paraphrasing. Okay. And this is why this society is the way it is. Isaiah 13:11 says, and I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man, I'm going to say that again. I will make a man, right? And this is mostly referring to the men of the Lord. Okay. I will make a man more precious than fine gold. Yahweh Shai called the men, his men, right? Precious jewels. Okay. Salakia. Isaiah 13:11 says in its entirety. Yep. Nope. 12. Salakia. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Okay. So a man in the Lord would be more precious in these dark times. Why? Because a man in the Lord will have the light. Isaiah 33:6. Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, the strength of salvation, the fear of the Lord, which is the beginning of wisdom, right? And the scripture says, wisdom maketh a man's face to shine, right? The fear of the Lord is his treasure. So the men of the Lord, they have that wisdom, and they're going to shine in the darkness, right? In these dark times. Okay. And the women are going to see that, and they're going to flock to him. But guess what? Not all women are going to be rescued by that man, because you got to remember, one, the men of the Lord are going to have righteous discernment. Okay. And two, what if that woman or women who did that man wrong are flocking unto him? You think that man's going to take them back? Hell no. Okay. Let's continue. Let's jump down to verse 15, because I want to get these points. It says, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. So any Israelites that's found with the heathen, they're going to die with them. Verse 16 says, their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Okay, that's a horrible sight, man. That's a horrible sight to behold. And the crazy thing about it, like, when I'm out in the world, doing whatever, I see a lot of people having babies, a lot of people with kids. And I'm like, yo, why would you bring children into a dying world, man? Doesn't make any sense. But then I say, oh, you know what? At the end of the day, this is the Lord's will. Isaiah 13:16, their children shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes, and their houses shall be spoiled, right? Going back into 2nd Ezra 16 and 19, no man shall pity upon his neighbor, okay? And it says, their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. Their wives ravished. This is not a game, okay? We see a whole bunch of ravishings happening even while there's law enforcement. So what's going to happen when that law enforcement is nowhere to be found? When 911 continues to give the busy signal, law enforcement has already, not answered to certain emergencies. So what's going to happen when they don't answer, period? Okay? And this is what especially women have to consider, man. But the majority of our women have been deceived by the serpent. Esau, Edom, has deceived Eve again. Now he's saying, hey, we don't need you anymore. We use you to destroy the family. We use you to usurp authority over the man. We use you to raise effeminate and undisciplined children, especially sons, to fill up our jail systems. Now we don't need you. And now the so-called black woman is making TikTok saying we need to work with our men. You know what? Guess what? It's a done deal, man. Men don't want to hear it. You have men that want revenge. You have men that have gone through the court systems, losing their children, man, having their image slandered. So many men coming back from work or coming back from the service and finding their women in bed with other men. Adultery has been legalized in some states. And I'm going to say it again. And in some states, depending on the judge, if the man proves adultery, depending on the judge, what time the judge is on, he can still grant that adulterous woman the kids. So the husband has to pay child support and also spousal support, which will further increase the tension between men and women. This shit is serious, man. This is not a game. There's no denying that we are in dark times, man. Seek the Lord more than ever, especially women. Seek the Lord, and the Lord will send you a man. Okay, let's get this. I want to go to Isaiah chapter 3. Where is it? Where is it? Where'd it go? Beautiful, right here. This is Isaiah chapter 3. I'm starting at verse 16. It says, moreover, the Lord Yahweh saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty. This is speaking of what? Our women in the nation of Israel, okay? And walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes. That means undisciplined eyes. Walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore, the Lord will smite with the scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion. And we understand this is why women can't grow their hair. This is also a form of shame, okay? And the Lord will discover their secret parts. In that day, the Lord will take away the bravery. The bravery goes into pride, not bravery, okay? As in, being brave for a good cause, okay? This is speaking of being prideful and haughty. It says, will take away the bravery of their twinkling ornaments about their feet, and their calls and their round ties like the moon, the chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and the nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantles and the wimples and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen and the hoods and the veils. So guess what? No more Fendi, no more Prada, man. No more apple bottom jeans and boots with the fur. Okay? Because when you think about it, that's going to make you a prime target. All these clothing that enhance the woman's sex appeal, they're going to be on the radar for sexual deviants. They're going to be in the radar for those who were doing death row, but escape those prison systems, man. Okay? It says, and it should come to pass that instead of a sweet smell, there should be a stink, and instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of well-set hair, baldness, and instead of a stomacher, a girding sackcloth and burning instead of beauty. So even, and that's another thing too. Just because you're not an attractive woman doesn't mean you're going to be safe. We know the attractive woman, the sexually appealing women, are going to be the main targets. But guess what? That means the ones that are less attractive, they're going to be treated like spittle. Okay? I'm going to keep it 100%. Verse 25 says, thy man shall fall by the sword and the mighty in war, because we understand what Revelation 11 and I think it's 11 and 12. The second one was passed. The third war cometh quickly, right? So men are going to be going into wars, the third world war, but a lot of men are going to be falling in these cities by 2nd and 15th chapter, going into the civil and race wars. It says, and her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. And when I think about that, I think about how a lot of these women are going to be out there on the streets, man, which is going to lead to this, Isaiah 4:1. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man. 7 meaning it could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 5, it could be 10. Just 7 just means completion. Okay, a complete amount. It says, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name. How is a woman called by a man's name? Through sex. Okay, through marriage. Sex consummates the marriage. Okay, and what's the purpose? To take away our reproach. So women are going to be seeking men in the Lord for their shame to be covered. Okay. So, even, hey, it's going to be a hell of a time, man. A time like no other. And this is why seeking the Lord more than ever is very, very wise, man. Okay. So I want to get this, and I'm going to end up. I want to go into the book of Zechariah. Oh, excuse me. This is Zechariah chapter 13 and verse 8 through 9. I'll close it out. It says, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die. This is speaking of 2/3 of Israel. But the third shall be left therein. This is speaking of the elect. And I will bring the third part through the fire and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. So yes, even the hopeful elect is going to have to go through this fire and be tried, right? In order to what? To be the elect, to be saved. Okay. It says, they shall call upon my name. Proverbs 18 and 10. The name of the Lord, which is Yahweh, is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and are safe. It says, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai is my God. So, as the title says, we are in dark times, man. Seek the Lord more than ever. There's no denying it, man. We are here, and it's only going to get worse. But guess what? The hopefully elect, we're going to remain in that secret place of the Most High, man. We're going to remain in these scriptures. We're going to remain stable. Yahweh Ratazah. So I pray that you were edified, also warned. All praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rukat Badash, Wa Shalom.